Why are you so afraid to publicly identify as a Democrat?
The First Amendment no longer exists for women because we don't have a right to privacy.
Because I say that a drag show for children is inappropriate, then they'll say that I'm a bigot.
You've had multiple death threats.
I said something, people didn't like it, and then I was fired.
The disunited states of America? Let's just see how divided we are right now.
I'm not gonna trust or even be friends with anyone who is a Republican. Oh, put the politics aside.
I hate the f***ing stupidity of Republicans in Congress today. Why?
Democrats are evil scumbags. They march in lockstep with the corporate fascist machine.
Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative, I feel like it just doesn't matter. Something is not working in Washington.
Well, the problem is we've forgotten how to treat each other with dignity and respect, and have become a society more focused on winning arguments instead of solving problems. And tonight, you're going to hear the reality of the fear and intimidation citizens on both sides of the political coin are feeling. Now, my first guest, Xavier, says the moment he went from being a liberal Democrat to a conservative Republican, he began to feel the hate.
Growing up, I would describe my dad as a far leftist and my mom as a liberal. They often viewed everything through the lens of race. We were in Southside Chicago until we moved to Pontiac, Illinois. That town was 95% white and only had about 10,000 people there. It made it really hard for me to find myself because living in this town that's majority white, I always felt like I was too black for the white kids. I started leaning into Black Lives Matter and all these different Marxist belief systems. In that process, I was shocked by how much I ended up dismantling the entire narrative that I had been indoctrinated with. If you see color, you're racist. If you don't see color, you're ignoring racism, which is somehow still racist. And then you're told to embrace other cultures, but don't participate or it's cultural appropriation. And it's sad because we have more in common than we don't. In 2021, I started speaking out on my new beliefs as a conservative. The backlash was immediate. My progressive friends wanted nothing to do with me. People at my old church were saying that I sold my soul to Satan, and I had family members saying that I became a KKK member and a white supremacist. My father and I started having so many disagreements that we didn't speak for over 2 years. It was devastating to realize that I couldn't even go to my own family members simply because of my political beliefs. I even looked into hiring security the first time I went back home. There's not a day that goes by where I'm not called an Uncle Tom, an Uncle Ruckus, Sambo, and a race trader, or a sellout, or a grifter.
Well, Xavier, it's good to have you here again. You were here once before when we were talking about student loans. You say the church said you sold your soul to Satan.
Yes, there were some childhood friends of mine that I grew up with in church, and I was catching up with one of the friends in that group, and she was letting me know that a lot of the mutual friends we had in that group are now saying that I sold my soul and that I was this evil, bigoted person, all because I was no longer a progressive, which I found really ironic considering the church is usually known as being a more conservative environment, but I guess not in this case.
And there were people that you said you had been very close to and that you loved, and you just no longer existed to those people.
Absolutely. I mean, even family members. We haven't spoken in 3 years now. The first time I saw him, he looked me right in the eye and turned right around. Wants nothing to do with me because of my new political beliefs. A lot of my closest friends have the same energy towards me now.
You've been labeled homophobe, white supremacist, anti-black. How do they know that?
They don't know it. They make assumptions. They take everything that I say and take it to the extreme. If I put any kind of criticism out there, let's say about something like Black Lives Matter, then they will take that narrative and they'll run with it and say that I'm anti-black and that I'm a white supremacist because I don't support this group that has been exposed numerous times for being fraudulent. And I just sit there and I wonder, how could I be a white supremacist? How would that benefit me? And I
was kind of wondering that myself.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, in their mind, they think I've sold my soul, that I'm bought and paid for, and that I'm just collecting checks to be out here for the demise of Black people. Or if I say that there are certain things that are an extreme, if I say that taking a child, a 5-year-old child, to a very sexually explicit drag show, they'll say that that's me being homophobic or a bigot because I don't think that that's appropriate.
You've had multiple death threats. At least 3 times you had your life threatened.
Just this morning, I actually received one. There's been a few this year that were very specific, where people were trying to post my address online and putting out a plan to come and try to kill me. But luckily, nothing has happened.
If you're being honest, you haven't just shaken this off, it's actually gotten to you some.
Absolutely. I mean, especially in the beginning. So 3 years ago is when I started publicly saying my views as a conservative. And back then it was very hard. I knew that I was going to get pushback, but I never would have imagined the magnitude of the backlash that I've been receiving over the last couple of years. So it's been concerning, but I definitely want to say that I do not live in fear because I know that I'm protected by my God and my Glock. So keep it cordial.
I think people are fearful at this point because of their political affiliation. It's not safe to talk about who you identify with unless you already know those people.
So I don't really speak politics with any of my family or my friends or anything like that.
People who are best friends, you know, find out that they believe in this, they believe in that, and then it's hammer time.
I had a get together with my nephews and nieces, and I did say, we will not talk about politics because there is several siblings that over Facebook, social media, they have been fighting. It's ridiculous what it has done to the family. It has just been, are you Republican? Are you Democrat? Where's the love in that?
My next guest, Marie, says she has been harassed and nearly killed for proudly displaying her political affiliation as a Democrat. She says she is so scared of being retaliated against for speaking out about being a member of the left that she has asked us to protect her identity. So we've done that. Now, why are you so afraid to show your face and publicly identify as a Democrat? Because millions of people do.
I live in a rural area that's very red, probably 10% Democrats. All my neighbors are Republican, and we get along fine. However, if they knew I was on the show and talking about issues that Democrats face in red areas, it would be very easy for someone who saw me to simply open up the gate to my ranch and let my livestock out. I'm not willing to take the chance that something could happen to my animals because this is not their fight.
And you say you've actually been run off the road on 4 different occasions?
Yes.
Because you had stickers on your car?
Yes. People coming in and forcing me physically off the road. You know, in 2018, if somebody saw a Democratic sticker and they disagreed with you politically in the car, they may refuse to let you merge or, you know, keep you from getting in. But that isn't the case anymore. Now it's more intimidation tactics.
And you said at one point you were followed by a woman calling you a baby killer?
Yes. I was block walking. So when it's time for an election, we go to the doors that we think are Democrats or Republican, like we have data. And so Republicans target Republican doors, Democrats target Democrat doors. And I had a Beto shirt on and I was going to the doors and a woman was able to identify me and just started following me in her car. And she stalked me for over 40 minutes, screaming that I was a baby killer, screaming I was trying to get her guns, screaming that I need to get out of her neighborhood, and just doing her very best to intimidate. That's what's changed. It's become very aggressive.
You said a man confronted you, said your husband should train you better?
Yeah.
Boy, they shouldn't ever say that to my wife. I don't care what they're talking about.
Yeah.
You've had your pamphlets ripped up.
We don't even try to talk to people at the door anymore because it may not be safe. I had a block walker. She was 17 and put a door hanger on a door, didn't knock, didn't make any noise. And the gentleman inside came out and chased her. She was running to her car. She got inside and he started pounding on it and screaming about her being a Democrat and to stay out of his neighborhood. And so that was potentially a very dangerous situation.
And who do you attribute this to? Do you think it's all coming from the Republicans? Do you think Democrats do any of this type thing? Do you think it's all coming from the Republicans? Do you think Democrats do any of this type thing?
I can't speak to that because I don't know.
You haven't heard of anything from your side?
About them harassing Republicans? Yeah. No, I have not.
How do you feel about people on the other side and their beliefs?
I am upset about some of their policies that attack the vulnerable and that are attacking women. I don't appreciate having my rights and the rights of other women taken away, but I'm certainly not going to go and try to intimidate someone over it.
We've looked at political fear just for both sides. And what we found out is 62% of all Americans are scared to share their political views. And it's 52% of Democrats are afraid, but 77% of Republicans are afraid to share their views.
I think that has everything to do with where you live. And I don't know where that survey was done. You and I both know that some surveys are better than others.
So you discount that?
I think that if you're a Republican and you live in a very blue area, then you are going to be reluctant to share your views. I think people will not respect your views. But I think that if you're a Democrat in a red state or a red area, you are going to experience the reverse. I can only speak to my own experience and what's been happening to people I know.
Can you imagine that people on both sides have similar experiences?
Yeah, depending on where you live.
So you don't think that one side has a monopoly on harassing the other side?
Some of the Republican rhetoric is dangerous.
Well, Ben Shapiro, for example, he's certainly a conservative. And he's spoken at several universities where he had to have, 30, 40 police officers just to get him on and off the campus for fear of violence and people actually trying to attack. So you can't just say it's just one side.
I don't think that should have happened to him, but there's a difference between a famous figure who is trying to incite and somebody who is simply walking to Democratic doors or simply driving with a Democratic sticker.
Well, there's a difference unless you're Ben.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I resist the idea that it's just one side that's making this fight. It seems odd to me that you have trouble acknowledging that people on the left could be aggressive.
Oh, I think they can be aggressive, but if you compare the rhetoric of the political figures of the right and the left, I challenge you to say one isn't more hateful, discriminatory than the other.
Well, here are some examples of divisive statements from both sides. Democrats are the party of pedophiles. Democrats' identity is the most disgusting, horrible, evil thing happening in our country. Democrats are absolutely corrupt. Republican Party is trying to destroy our democracy. Republican playbook is racist garbage then, racist garbage now. Trying to come up with the most bigoted ways to traffic Islamophobic tropes is the brand of the Republican Party. They both seem pretty much inciting people to be upset.
I think people are very upset on both sides.
Just can't acknowledge that it's both sides.
I guess I can't. The rhetoric coming out of the top Republican leaders is very different than what the top Democrats are saying.
I'm not saying it's one side or the other. I'm saying it's both sides.
Yeah.